Welcome back. This is so good to welcome today Clinton Callahan, which is a very dear friend, a colleague, a co-teacher, someone who personally supported me and guided me through my life, my personal evolution, my spiritual evolution. I met him for the first time when I was a spiritual baby, we can say that, in a coffee shop. I think it was somewhere in Munich or something
Munich.
like that, right? Well, that was such an amazing thing. And I remember I was taking some notes, Clinton, and then you were saying to me, "Do you write your book?" And I'm just taking notes. This is the beginning of a book. And then since then, when I was doing large and deep work group, I invited Clinton several times to be a co-teacher with me and supported you also in teaching different places around the world. Being in your presence, being with you is a remarkable experience. It's something that lasts forever. Really, it does not disappear from the space, from the mind, from the impact is so deep. It's really life-changing. And I haven't met you for 3 years. That was the last time that we've met here in my house. I remember my child coming to you and shaking your hand with a lot of enthusiasm as he was reading Goodnight Feelings, one of your books, right? And he's still reading
Yes.
that. He's still reading
Wow.
that. Yeah, we're still going to this book again and again. He's already 8.5. And yeah, and recommending this book for many people. And let me also share with those who are listening that you're also the author of adult book, we can say, more adult books like Conscious Feeling and Radiating Joy, Brilliant Love. I've seen that there's a new book which is Building Love That Lasts. And you were also part of The Leap. Yeah, a movie, a full movie. But 3 years in Clinton time, probably there are like three more books, three more businesses, two more videos. Like, what is going on in your world since then?
And 650 websites at the start of the
Right.
game.
Yeah. Oh, yes. This is another. Right.
650. Yeah, there's the No Reason book about my time, my 21 years with Lee Lozowick. An amazing additional book called White Witch of Tenerife, which
Oh,
would
wow.
really support people in your domain with remarkable stories from a woman who decided not to agree on limiting her potential to what other people thought she should be, and a
Is
whole
this the
lifetime
woman?
of that.
Is this the woman you were traveling some time to work with?
I lived in for 1 month at her place in Tenerife,
Yeah, I met
Canary
you
Island.
just before going there. One of
Yeah.
our
Okay.
meetings were just before going there. I need to read this
Hmm.
book.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's just a fabulous, inspiring, of getting positive feedback from witches coming back to life. So
Oh
it's
my God.
yeah,
What did you
yeah.
compose there?
What? Say it again.
What did you compose there? What are the
Uh,
spells that you put inside?
it's really a door opener for people to get in touch with their essential gifts and to trust them and to go forward because it's that's our story. We were born in a culture that suppresses all that, and for you and me and a few other people that was not satisfying, and so
Not
and
at
so
all.
we've spent our lives going to the edge,
Yeah.
and whatever way we could find that edge. It doesn't take so many drugs and stuff like that to get to the edge. The edge is right there. So once you're at the edge, it's about staying at the edge, and you've
Uh-huh.
stayed at the edge the whole time, and that's what
Stayed
it's
and
about.
stretched it. I kept on stretching the edge and I keep on stretching it.
That's how you do it. You have to stay there to stretch the edge, and it's fabulous, uh, invigorating work. I mean, it's really fabulous. Uh, it's carried me through like since 1975 for the whole time, just on and on and on. And not there's no end. There's only more and more, as you know. It's like wider and deeper and broader and bigger and more amazing and more inspiring. And I just try to give it all away as fast as I can. So I'm really happy to talk to you and talk to your friends in this space.
Yeah, and I feel that this is most of the people who are listening to us are people who understand that the edge is the center of
Mm.
their life. Like the edge is might be the edge for the rest of the people, but for us, this is the center. This is the location where we move from that place, we think from that place, we create.
This action, this set of skills called creating. I'd like to go there with you a little
Yeah.
bit because we've been, like you said, in the last 3 years, I think I've probably learned double what I had before because the we've somehow empowered other people to also be doing research, parallel research in these same domains, and it's just incredible how rich the resources are. So that's what I wanted to talk about was about creating. It's the the path of the creator is the provides a kind of ecstasy or food or nurturing that nothing else really can. Like politics doesn't, or making a bunch of money doesn't, or owning a lot of possessions doesn't. Like all this stuff is burdensome compared to the path of becoming a creator, because as a creator, our job is to be a space through which the creation forces of the universe can do their work in the world, because they cannot do that work without us, because those forces do not have eyes and mouth and ears and heart and hands. They don't have those material objects to work with. And so when you and I, when somebody at the edge puts themselves in a position of being a kind of a transformer for these archetypal forces of nature, then the archetypal forces of nature feel glad about it and support us. And we haven't been trained how to do this. We haven't been. So it's all about talking to other people like us. Say, well, how does this work? How does it go? And I want to share a couple of secrets that we've been finding lately. And one of them is really surprising, which is if you look at traditional spiritual work or traditional spiritual teachings, you get the idea that your job is to find the source and praise the source. Appreciate the source, pray to the source, bow down to the source, and admire and acknowledge the source.
The father
And what
figure
we
in that
found out
sense.
is, like, what do you think the source feels about this? So the source is waiting to deliver its work in the world, and you've turned around and you're facing the source, and you're essentially blocking the source from going through you because you're doing what you think you're supposed to do, is bow down to and put your attention on the source.
Yeah.
And so this little exercise that you can try after this is, we call it to look away from the light. Basically, is put the light behind you, put the light at your back, and then you can put your attention on where the light needs to go, because where your attention goes, the power goes, the energy flows where your attention goes. So it's about putting your attention on where the resources need to go, but you do not get to praise the resources except by making space in your life for these archetypal forces of nature to go through and do their work in the world through you. I just
Exact. I love that. It touches me so much. So, in those drafts of books that I'm still writing, one of them, Awakened Healer, in two hands. One of
I'm
them,
waiting. We're waiting.
I will deliver soon.
Good.
One, thank you. One of them is the Awakened Healer, and one of the paradigm that I shift in this description is this: there is an idea that there is a healer who's facing a client, and they are speaking to each other face to face, which is not how the healing is, and it's not why the healing exists. It's actually if there is an issue in someone's life, this issue chosen a certain person, because that person can be the carrier of transmutation of whatever it is, pain, discomfort, conflict, complexity, whatever it is. And that person is coming for you to hold space. And therefore, there cannot be like one conversation face to face. It's actually source, and then the healer, and then the client, and then whatever is there at the end, which wants to flourish and become light. And this is the same description as you're saying. It's like this: we are an activator of light. We're not here. Like, our way to praise light is by activating it, turning it on, right?
One of our websites is called the number three phase healing, 3-phase healing, and
Okay.
in ordinary medicine uses 2-phase healing, which is you're quote unquote well, you quote unquote get sick, and the healer's job is to bring you back to this condition that you were before about well. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 1.
Yeah.
And we're talking about 3-phase healing, which is you're well, you're some condition, you have some kind of a chaos or liquid state, you're going into this illness, however you want to call it, a disorderliness. And that chaos is the transition between where you were before and a new condition, which we're calling phase 3, which is an evolved, more aware, more clear, present, powerful condition. And so to get it, that the illness is part of the path. And we're not about trying to take the illness out of you. We're actually changing your condition so that you step out of the illness. Like you no longer need the process and move into phase 3, and you're on your way.
Amazing. It's already, there are several questions I want to bring and several deepening of this, but I want to share with you that one of the things that quite shocked me in terms of personal evolution, healing, and so on, is there's always this conversation about you are not moving because you are in a comfort zone and you don't want to move out of the comfort zone. This is like a subject that we already discussed in the world so much. But the ridiculous thing is that most of the people will be finally willing to move away from their comfort zone only if we offer them a better comfort zone. Right? I'm going to give you more
You are pushing a
money.
button here. You're really hitting on something.
Yeah. But
Because
isn't it?
somebody who promises that, we'll give you a better comfort zone. It's a position, a character that we're calling the handsome, holy tribal man.
Oh,
Or
did
the
I push this
beautiful,
button
holy tribal
already?
man. Oh, man.
That was
And
very
to,
fast.
the handsome, holy tribal man, subscribe here. Patreon, my account is here. And I will make it a comfort zone for you that you will not even be able to conceive of. And it will be. And what we're finding is that adding this marshmallow zone on top of our already existing survival strategy takes us away from our compass of reality. It takes us away from, dropping off the baggage, moving down into almost nothingness so you can take your steps on your path towards going through the eye of the needle into actually adulthood, actually the free and natural
Finally.
adulthood through the eye of the needle. Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us more. What would you, can you elaborate about this compass of reality? We start there. Could be good.
Yeah, there's a condition we're calling it the V condition. It's this V condition, and it's like the point of reality is very small, and it's right down here at the bottom of the V. And over here is this beating yourself up. It's like, I'm not doing it right. I'm getting it wrong. I'm self-doubt, criticism, judgment, blame, and it's this guilt and shame and all this stuff. And it's away from reality because it's all stories. It's all taking you way over here in this whole domain. And if the other part that takes you away from this point of reality is this putting on a show. See how good I am. I'm doing this wonderful stuff. Look at me, love me, adopt me, appreciate me, support me. And so both of those things, this is kind of like a pinball machine. And these are like flippers on the pinball machine that just take your ego, your presence, your point of attention, and bounce it all over the place. And it's like you have to get to know those things so that you can just breathe your way out of them and come back to this tiny little place where reality is connected to reality at the bottom of the V.
Wow, amazing. So I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I had this insight about ego, of course, because like it's always here. And one of the things that I've realized is that ego is the type of placenta that we supposed to create by our tribe. So we have the first placenta when we are at our mother womb. This is like a type of something that supports you, guides you, nourishes you, and so on as you're going through the first hormonal episodes of your life. This first 6 years, you get all the nourishment, everything there is, all the codes are there. Then there is 6 to 12, and then this puberty, 12 to 18, where actually you develop your ego. But I've realized that in a normal culture, the ego is strength. The ego is like a healthy placenta that puts you in your place in the right level. The word that comes for me is humbleness. I'm not high, I'm not low. I am that I am. However, because of, let's have this conversation and say, because of this a little bit inflated society and terrified, fearful society, what we develop is an ego that takes us so far from our nature, from connection, from truly contributing, for being part. So when you're saying that the ego is pinpointing us in two parts of this V, in this culture that we're living, what would be your guidance to fall
It's
into
really
this?
powerful. It's really powerful to do exactly what you're saying, which is to take responsibility for being born into a certain culture that leaves us for the rest of our lives at 18 years old, still inside that placenta. And there's another culture that's rapidly emerging around the world that comes after matriarchy and patriarchy have run their course, which is now. And the new culture is called Archiarchy. And instead of having a feminine orientation like Mother Earth or a masculine orientation like a hierarchical power structure, what you have is a circle of collaboration between the archetypally initiated adult feminine and the archetypally initiated adult masculine. And that's why it's called Archiarchy, because it's the archetypal parts of ourselves that are contributing, like holding the space for this culture. So in that culture, it's centered around authentic adulthood initiatory processes that begin when we're 18 years old. When we have developed enough capability for responsibility, a causal body is structured enough with enough matrix and distinctions to take responsibility into authentic adulthood initiatory processes, which never end. That path never ends. There's no top end in that path.
Yeah.
And like that whole thing that I just said is not contained in our birth, in the modern culture, birth culture that we're. So it's an entirely new paradigm for living, is oriented towards authentic adulthood initiatory processes at the center as the highest value, and it's a non-material value. And so that whole context is waiting for us. It's emerging all over the world at the same time. We're so excited about it. And we just figured out one thing that I have to tell you.
Tell me.
And Chloe,
Tell
my
us.
partner, just delivered and with Vera Franco, a week-long, a 5-day-long Women of Earth lab in Portugal. And in that lab, they had 30 women, something like that, and they discovered through raging together, by raging together, they discovered that women create archiarchy, because the men born and raised in a patriarchal structure cannot build archiarchy. But the women can get out of patriarchy easier through the rage. The rage is the secret. And out by raging together, the result is a culture of archiarchy. And it's just stunning. I've been waiting my whole life for this to emerge. And it's just my whole orientation towards what I'm writing, what I'm telling people, what I'm shining the light on is women raging together create archiarchy.
Amazing. So Tell me more. Tell us more. I've done an amazing several times. I've done rage work personally, privately. I've done it with you. I've done it with my clients privately. I've done it with group. There's so much power in that. And I would love to hear that from you. What is so powerful? Of course, rage by itself is so powerful, but how come you see it? And what did she discover of a collective rage being a type of a portal, and also what gives it a power, like the positive power of it? We also want to speak to that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because as soon as you start observing rage or noticing rage, first you have to go through this cultural taboo of being, even in the spiritual world, there's so many taboos
Mainly.
against being something other than peaceful. Our job is to be peaceful. Every time you are angry, you hurt an angel. There's all this crazy stuff going on, but you have to get through this mishmash of beliefs, old beliefs, and find your way to it's okay to say, I feel 13% angry that I forgot to turn the light off. And I'm going back now. I'm going to use this energy to go back and turn the light off just to save electricity, something like that. So the power of the anger is where it comes from. The source of the anger is what you care about. And if you put women together to rage, they will care about the earth. They will care about children. They'll care about species dying and contaminated oceans and plastic and global warming and politicians who are psychopaths at the top of hierarchies. And women have this rage about this. And it's so intelligent that if you just bring those elements together, you're designing and building and moving into archiarchy. And so that's what's happening is women are moving together in what we call bridge houses, which is an environment. It's a self-contained environment recontexted in the next culture, in archiarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that comes radical responsibility, comes initiatory processes called emotional healing processes, and this fabulous, powerful intelligence of the rage informing everybody about how to make it fly. And it's
How to
just,
make it fly?
yeah, it's the power. It's like when you know what to do. Like when the women come together, they rage until everybody knows what to do, and the meeting's over. Do you know what to do next? Yes, meeting over. You don't
Because
need to
what do
make
you
group
feel?
decisions.
What do you feel that
Yeah.
was awakened? A level of clarity, a level of dedication?
Well, I
Why?
think I think it was really there were 30 women who had done rage work before. There's a great thing called Rage Club. There's another
Mm-hmm.
thing called Fear Club. There's a Rage Club Spaceholder training and Fear Club Spaceholder training. People who deliver a Rage Club every month or two can quit their corporate job. They can just quit the job and do what they came here to do because they get enough support from the people in their Rage Club online once a week, twice a week online, and you got enough, you know, support to get food and rent and live your life. And so what comes out of it, what comes through it, is this the intelligence of Gaia, the design of the next culture, of how it works, how it goes together.
So
What
you're
was your
saying that,
question?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying, but my question was, what is happening there? Is there is like a type of an activation? What is happening in the rage that this level of clarity is coming, that they know what needs to be done? Like, I'm
Yeah,
wondering,
it's so there's an article written, but there's also imagine having radical reliance on your rage. That it's not a reactivity. It's not a button, a hook, a trigger, a trauma, a voice in your head, or an imbalance in your body. Okay, this rage
oh my
has a
God.
voice and it has an intention and it has a purpose, and you start radically relying on this force of nature. It's an archetypal force of nature because it's not your rage. We're designed to experience and express 100% intense anger, sadness, fear, and joy. And when you go through the initiations that turn on that internal resource, it's forever. And you can hold space for other people forever with that. And that resource comes through with its intelligence. And that's a resource for you, for your life. And your job is to create infrastructure for Archiarchy. What that means is to build out game world in which people thrive in a non-material value world. Like everything we know in patriarchy is contexted. Everything modern culture teaches us is contexted in patriarchy. I mean, okay, that means we need to learn everything over again from a different context, a different culture.
Can you elaborate? Because there could be some of the people that listen need a little bit of elaboration of this specific moment, that everything that is built in patriarchy, I don't know if you skip the words or not, is in some way based on materialism.
Yes, I didn't say it, but patriarchy is a materialistic culture.
Yeah.
You walk down the street and it's more shoes. You want more, more jewelry, more dresses, more phone covers for your phone. I mean, it's insane to think that a creature as intelligent as a human being could devote their lives to having more shoes. But that's what we're offered by modern culture. Whereas you could walk down a street and there could be a rage club, there could be an intimacy cafe, there could be an initiation center, there can be a potential unleashing space, etc. I could go on for hours about what there could be.
I would love that. So in your Archiarchy vision, in what you see there, as you're holding space for more of that to be on the planet, to be the next culture, as we love to call it, what do you see for the Archiarchy? What is the meaning of the word arc for you? Let's start from there. Because you're using Archiarchy archetypes.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's clear that human beings are designed in the image of the archetypal. And that's been known for ages. And you can, if you've ever been to Athens and walk down the street of the old Athens, and you can see the pillars and the design of the triangles and the spaces that are set up to visit with the deities, all these designs reflect the archetypal. And so we're designed for that. The problem for modern people is that the gateway to enter the archetypal domains is the adult ego state. The adult ego state decontaminated from the child ego state, decontaminated from the parent ego state, the gremlin ego state, and demon ego states. And so there are processes that we've developed in the last 4 or 5 years that are so effective at decontaminating the adult ego state from these places. And all of a sudden, these doorways are opening up. And that's what's happening in the women's lab also. These women just entered the archetypal domain, and it was home.
Amazing.
It was so delightful. I mean, I came there 5 days later because right after that, we had the Archiarchy Maker Fair in the same space. So there were a couple of men, and we came into the property, and the women paid no attention to the men. Can you believe it? And the men, I was in ecstasy, and the other men were freaking out like little boys going, Mommy is not looking at me. Mommy's not giving me dominating power over the feminine. They just had no need to deliver their attention to the men anymore because they were in a totally different culture context. And they moved there. They're not coming back. Those women, they moved there. They crossed the line. They went over the line, and they're not coming back. And it is a celebration. It's fabulous.
I heard you using the word archetypal resources. Can you elaborate about that?
Yeah, there's a number of resources that we can talk about and jack into. We can actually go through the initiations and the preparations where we jack into these archetypal resources. So I mentioned one right now before, which was to stellate your feeling archetypes, which is an internal archetypal resource. So we're born with these inner structures for anger, sadness, fear, and joy that are dormant until we go through the turn-on process, this initiatory process, which turns the switch on. So the feeling that's associated, there's anger, sadness, fear, and joy. And if you turn on the archetypal resource of anger, what you get is the doer or the maker or the warrioress. You get this force in your life, the one that says yes, the one that says no, stop, you, not you, here, now, me. It goes like this. Finish this conversation is over. Like, this is a sentence that those women learn. They go, you know what? Here's the bar for our interacting, and here's the doorway. And if your offer is here and you can't make it up to this doorway for interacting with me, this is my space of interacting. And if you can't make it to that, this conversation is over. And it's
Liberating.
really, sorry?
It's liberating. It's
Well,
actually the foundation to create a sacred space, and living as a sacred space is like you need to have this doer, not doing, but being the doer, right? You need to have this
yes,
level
and
of clarity.
the sacred part is the archetypal part. In reality, when you stop doing the handsome, holy tribal man thing, sacred means archetypal. And so you turn on the sadness and you get the lover, the connection, the communicator, the healer. You turn
Yeah.
on the fear, you get the magician, the sorceress, and you turn on the joy, and we don't have words for it. So we had to invent a whole new word for when you stellate and turn on to 100% maximum the joy through your nerves and your cells. You get the possibilitator, you get, the edge worker, you get that person. And so these are an internal archetypal force of nature. You have other forces of nature, for example, bright principles. So if you take consciousness and you put it through like a prism, consciousness will spread out into facets. And this has long been known, like all this is known. It's the 99 names of God. You take consciousness and spread it out. And every person has a set of 3, 4, 5, 6 bright principles that they took on as a mission on earth, coming into the meat and becoming incarnated. And so it's like part of the initiation is to distill your bright principles out of the thousands that there are. So my bright principles are integrity, clarity, possibility, love, initiation, and high level fun. And this is what I am. And then I represent it. They come from back there. I do not turn around and praise them, I am the space through which those bright principles do their work in the world, and I help other people do the same thing. So there's other archetypal forces also. One is called Echo. It's the Earth Coincidence Control Office.
Tell
And
me
you can
more.
make yourself interesting to the Earth Coincidence Control Office, and it will reach down and grab you and pull you out of whatever life situation you're in and drop you in a place that's useful for the evolution of consciousness on Earth. And that makes for an interesting life. So you've done that. You made yourself interesting to Echo, and it's moved you from Thailand, islands, Portugal,
All
all
over.
over the place. It's
Still
moved you.
moving. Yeah.
Yeah, and each time you're in service at a higher level to your bright principles and another archetypal resource called your archetypal lineage. So we've been researching archetypal lineage for a few years, and we've figured out there's these 4 kind of classifications of archetypal lineages. That one of them is the guardian, like Earth guardian, guardian of space, guardian of bright principles. So another is the village weaver, like the connector one who knows how everybody is, and whoever, when the village weaver detects something that needs this out of balance, brings them over to the evolutionaries, or the ones who manage evolutionary healing processes, transformational processes. And then the 4th one is the game world builders. And these are the ones who are building out energetic structures to hold the life force of Archiarchy, of next culture. And if you build it, people can inhabit it. So
Yeah.
I'm a game world builder. And that's why we
For
have
sure.
these 650 websites in the start over game. You just go to spaceport.mystrikingly.com and you have a gateway into 650 transformational websites.
We're going to get all the links, whomever want to go deeper in that, and hopefully not only reading the links, because this is the, 50%, 10% of the work. Because, for example, I remember quite well the process that I have done for turning on the archetypal lineage that I am part of. I still brightly remember now as we speak how it looked from the within, what was the messages and so on. And I already had my awakening, I think like more like 16 years before we've done it. And still, once we have done that together, there were more people, more pieces, and of course, more people coming into my life to activate this realization. So
Well,
maybe you,
to receive your gifts, to
yeah,
receive
maybe
what you're
you,
creating, back to creation, but to
yeah,
what you can create for them. Yes.
yeah. Would you mind, in your words, sharing the process a little bit?
Well, it's mostly a process of preparation. So, for example, if you're not prepared to, and your archetypal lineage gives you a job to do, and you have to go over and talk to that guy and make a proposal for your project and tell him you need €1 million, and your we call it your box, you called it your placenta, your ego, and your ego freaks out and goes, well, I might make a mistake, I mean, I don't want to interrupt him, it's a man, I mean, he might call the police, he might think I'm a pervert, and all these considerations come up. Well, the job does not get done, and so it stays in the tube from your archetypal lineage, and the archetypal lineage sends down another job, and it's blocked by the first job you didn't do, and another job. And after 3 or 4 jobs come down the tube and you are not prepared to do them, and you said, I'm jacked in, I'm going to jack in, and it gives you jobs and you don't do them, then you have a mess that's difficult to clean up because you really have to start over. So the whole thing about the archetypal lineage is preparations. And preparations have to do with your attention, with your intention, with being able to split your attention so you can observe yourself and notice what you're noticing and notice what you're noticing with, and be able to speak and hold space, different kinds of space, and cavitate space. You can cavitate space in a culture that doesn't exist before, and you step in and zip it up in the inside, and you can see I cavitate space through which, where archiarchy thrives, and you're in a space that's separate from patriarchy, and you can live there. You never have to go back. And out of that, you can unfold game worlds and unfold projects and deliver all kinds of your archetypal lineage.
Yeah, it's almost like creating roots in multidimensional aspects. Like you're putting seeds and creating roots in different aspects and letting that thrive by you just holding that. I see that so clearly, and it also gives me more realization about my own process of activating my archetypal lineage, which was quite phenomenal. I want to share with you another thing that goes back to the initiation. So my child, Gome, which you know, and he loves you. When he was around, I think 3 or 4, so I was really, minding my energy, and I am aware of my energy, so I could be aware of what it would do to him. And like I was the mother who doesn't scream and doesn't scream on her child and so on, like that never happened. And then one day I've realized that I need to show him what is possible. And I remember that I was not reacting, but taking an initiative to demonstrate anger without having a purpose to send this energy to him or to make him feel guilty or like anything. Because you can, you can direct the anger energy and make people feel blame, shame, guilt, whatever, right? And you can just do your anger for yourself. And I remember me doing that. And I remember him looking at me. And I felt at that moment, and I told him once I completed, I told him, I just needed you to know that this exists and this is possible. And when you're speaking now about like opening the zip, entering another archiarchy aspect, closing the zip, I feel that story coming so strongly to me. Because there could be the entire trance of me not controlling my emotions, or any mother not controlling her emotions, with her partner, with her children, with her job, with herself, what needs to be done, etc., etc. And this trance life, where you're just trance channeling your grandmother and mother and father all your life, you're just trance channeling them, right?
Yeah.
Instead of you deciding the way that you're living and the way that you're playing with your emotion, which doesn't necessarily needs to be this complex heritage. There's a new
That
choice that you
anger,
can do around it,
yeah,
right?
totally. Totally. That anger is a set of tools that you're actually using to shape space. And what you did so wonderfully and described so beautifully is you shaped a space that your son had probably never seen before. And especially, and the way you built it was, like you said, not out of reactivity. It was built out of intention, and that a space could be clear, a space could have a foundation, it had a context, it has a purpose, and you can build a space like that, and you can have that as a space to live. And it's and
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's what anger's for. Conscious anger is for that.
Yeah.
That's why.
I love that you use the word purpose, because there's such a difference between doing it purposely and doing it as a reaction. Because as
Yes.
a reaction, you're not going to create a space. You're not going to set standards. There's not going to be boundaries. Nothing new will be created as a
Yeah,
reaction.
it will serve an unconscious purpose. We call it the hidden purpose.
Yeah.
And in the trainings that we deliver, the possibility labs, one of the initiatory processes we bring people through is distilling their hidden purpose, bringing it out of the unconscious into their own awareness as a piece of clarity. So it helps navigate what they're creating. So it makes it conscious hidden purpose.
Strong. Today I wrote a post, first thing in the morning, I wrote a post. And I wrote something like, if you once just see who you are, like this thing of seeing who you are, your life forever will be transformed. And seeing who you are is really, seeing this big from the stellated experience is seeing who you are. It's there. You cannot
Yep.
hide anymore, right? It's there.
Yeah, there's this saying, maybe Aristotle or somebody who said, know yourself.
Yeah.
And
Know thyself. Yeah.
we know thyself. We've modified it. We say he was wrong. It's really know thyself. Know thyself, because we have this zoo going on in there. You have to see the whole zoo, and it's so easy to tell there's a zoo because if you're talking to somebody on the phone, that you're talking to somebody and their phone rings and they pick it up, and all of it's their mother, and their face changes, their voice changes, their whole phraseology changes, speech patterns, everything changes. And they're talking to their mother or the lawyer or the police, or their kid, and then as soon as the phone hangs up, whoosh, they turn back into that one who's talking to you. And so we have this whole zoo inside. So you have to know
It's amazing.
yourselves. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you're saying. And it takes me to maybe one more topic we touch, right? So this type of a low game that you're now speaking with your mother, you're now speaking with the teacher, you're now speaking with the lawyer, etc. It's living a life out of reaction. You're always triggered. Whomever is coming into your presence, you're triggered, and then you have your card and you say, well, I have those cards. What would be the card that I'm going to play now? Let me give you that, right? It's like, which is taking you so far away from leadership. Because as leader, you cannot react all day long. Like, you cannot be triggered. There needs to be some, like a distance where you can take in, digest, recalculate, recalibrate, and be who you are again. Like, you take in, but you can still be who you are. You don't need to take in and then become immediately. It's not like it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's this, since Archiarchy is a different culture, it's emerging that in Archiarchy they speak a different language. And the language is called Arkan. It's the language they speak
Yes, I
in
love
Archiarchy.
that.
It's just like there's this stuff called Arkan permaculture. Well, what's that? Well, that's the kind of permaculture they do in Archiarchy. There's Arkan shamanism. What's that? It's the kind of shamanism they do in Archiarchy. It's a completely different kind of shamanism with initiatory processes from totally different from indigenous cultures. And so one of the distinctions or vocabulary in Archiarchy is that if you're playing the card of leader, you're simultaneously playing the card of creating followers. In modern culture, to be successful, you need followers. And in Archiarchy, if you have followers, you failed. And it's like what the different word that replaces leadership is spaceholder. And it's really the qualities that you mentioned. Is that since I'm holding this space and navigating this space, and then somebody else can take this job, so I don't have to be spaceholder. We pass around the job of spaceholder and then give feedback and coaching so people can be better spaceholders. What you end up with is massively more group intelligence, massively more intelligence from those mad, sad, glad, and scared feelings, massively more intelligence from the bright principles and archetypal lineage, and all those archetypal resources are available because there is not a leader. There's what there is a space.
So the space slash the space holder, this is from where, for example, the language emerge. This is from where the initiative processes emerge in this space holding, by this space holding, by this. Yeah?
Yes, as preparations to jack into your archetypal lineage, as preparations to serve your bright principles, as preparations to build out game worlds and art infrastructure for Archiarchy. It's like this is all preparatory processes. Yeah, happens in those spaces.
I'm listening to that. I'm saying to myself, there's so many people searching, like, how can I find my voice? How can I find my language? How can I be stable, confidence in my voice, in my language, in what I do, in what is being created through me, and all that you're describing here. Like this is, I'm going to use the word map because it's a word in common for both of us, right? This is,
Yeah.
you are literally putting here a map for all of that, which is to the individual and beyond the individuals. I love that, and I love your work. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a map for the edge workers who are really ready to leave behind what they know doesn't work. And instead of, there's this path and we're born into this path, and modern culture makes it really attractive to be successful in the definition of modern culture, which means do whatever it takes to climb the ladder, maybe become a millionaire, become, own property, et cetera, et cetera. And so if that is no longer tasteful for you, you might spin out and go and you see another map, another track over here, which looks like a different kind of comfort. And it's this evolutionary comfort where we're all together, we kind of hold each other's feathers down, and we're peaceful, and we do the handsome, holy tribal thing with marshmallow sauce.
So much
And we,
sadness comes. I'm going to cry in a minute like that.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, I thought I was doing the right thing. I really wanted to help people. And I have hundreds of followers, and they're really, and it's another distraction from this real simple thing that has to do with getting back to this thing at the bottom of the V and then taking those steps. And it goes to this,
Wow.
yeah. And it goes to this free and natural adulthood, which is where we can play. This is where you get access to the archetypal domains, and you have 5-body archetypal intimacy journeys together. Men, women, groups, teams, create stuff. Creation is happening in this space as a Torus. We call it Torus technology, how to work in a circle with groups. And it's just so, I can't shut up about it. And I hope everybody, it's all free, it's like all online, it's all, but the cost is you have to lose everything. You have to lose everything you think you know, because everything you learned came from a patriarchal context. You get to start over. And so for people who are edge workers and love to learn and help people come back into themselves and really show up, this is this edge worker's path that you're speaking about.
Diamond. This is diamond. Real diamond. This is how it feels. We're going to put the links for the people. You're going to provide us the links that they can be nourished and start their journey, open the door, say game over, and start again.
Can I just say something about that?
Yeah, of
No,
course.
because anybody listening to you, anybody who's connected to you, is already along their path. So they're not starting anything. We call it start over. Start over again, start over again. But they've already, and everything that they've learned so far that has value, everything that has value will stay. People don't lose that valuable stuff. So it's not like you're sacrificing everything. Oh my God, starting over again. No, you take your skill base from whatever you have built your skill base in and apply it in a new situation. So they don't lose anything, but you get back on track and you can feel it. When you peel the marshmallow zone off and you get through your psychological defense strategy and you get back to this place where the bottom of the V, where it's just like stuff shows up and you have your energy back because you're not reacting to stuff so much. You're not hooked. You're not listening to the voices anymore,
Yeah, I
and you just
actually,
roll.
yeah, I would rephrase it. I feel that you do lose, and I feel that you become really light by that. You become who you are. This is my experience. This is the experience that I see with people. And then the fear of losing what you would not lose who you are. You can only lose what you thought you have.
Yeah, it makes more space for who you are. And
Exactly.
the thing is, we're afraid that who I am doesn't match other people's expectations or society's projections or something. It
Well, it's
doesn't
supposed
match
not to
that.
touch to match their expectation. This is
Yeah, and then we can celebrate.
nature. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then you've got space for yourself. What a celebration that is to come together with other people, have space for themselves, and then the play really starts, and it's really playing full out.
Yeah. Clinton, that is amazing. I'm like in the middle, I was saying to myself, okay, you can just also invite him half a year from now. And that context going to be even richer and more detailed and so on. I feel the need because that was so rich. And, we are in some way, we're speaking the same language. So we are riding a certain wave, which is very familiar
Yes.
for us. And it could be that there would be people here who would listen and that they will feel the frequency, they will feel the truth, they will feel that it touched them. And it could be that the best thing to do would be to listen again, because in my heart eyes, when I am in this conversation, I can literally see the map be like, there's so much richness just by being and listening to this specific again. And of course, go read Clinton books, join his laboratories. What do we have now? We have possibility management, and there's lab, those things still active.
Yeah, there's still expand the box training, which is a doorway for the trainings.
Yeah,
And after that, you can come to the standard possibility village labs, and
yeah.
then a bunch of specialty labs are emerging. For example, the Women of Earth Lab.
Super. Okay. So there's enough for those who wants to step. Super.
And you're welcome. You guys are all welcome, really welcome. And you will be so happy to meet your brothers and sisters out here. They're great. Really, when we come together, it's just celebration time, and really powerful evolution just keeps happening.
Echo. I
So
echo with that.
thank you for making this space for everybody, Homaya.
Wow. I'm super grateful. For me, this podcast, it's the calling itself. I feel that this is part of the calling. It's not just the name of the podcast. This is my calling. I really feel that every time I'm having a conversation, every time I'm creating something regarding the podcast, I'm so activated. So I'm so happy. I'm happy that you were accepting this invite, and I'm so happy that you're in my life. You are such an inspiration. There's a feeling within me that when you meet good teacher, it's a sign for a good karma. It's a blessing, and being with you and working with you and was a beautiful blessing in my life, and I know that it is a blessing for many people who are working with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Homaya. See you around Harbigar.
Bye bye. Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.